to Lindy Shopper's Closet. This web series is a spinoff of my blog, lindyshopper.com, which is a blog about swing dance clothing, shoes, accessories, and other things that swing dancers may find useful. Today we're going to talk about some serious things first. I'm having a hard time, like so many of us, with the pandemic and the effect of the pandemic on my life. I feel like I'm mourning the loss of dancing, the loss of time with friends, the balance that being social, dancing, and singing brings to my life opposite my very serious day job, the loss of gigs, which are often swing dance events run by longtime friends and acquaintances who care about the swing dance community and swing music as much as I do, and life in general. I'm very lucky to still have a job at this point. My musician and swing dance instructor friends and colleagues are not as lucky. And so I want to highlight that the Frankie Manning Foundation has set up an emergency support program, and I'll include the links below if you are willing and able to donate any sort of money. They will be accepting funds and distributing them to swing dance instructors and musicians who are in need, who have supported our community with their talents and their gifts. There's also a Facebook group that supports swing dance instructors and musicians, and I'll share that link below as well. You don't necessarily need to donate money to help, and there are some other creative and non-monetary ways that you can contribute. So I think the idea for this web series came to me so that I could fill the hole in my life where I talk about clothing with my friends. It's one thing to write about it on the blog, but it's quite another to see a garment in person and feel the hem of the fabric, or witness the twirl of a skirt or the sparkle of a sequin. For me, I usually plan my gig outfits 2 to 3 months in advance because I think it's fun to hole up in my guest room and spend time with my clothing. And it's also more efficient to plan ahead in terms of available outfits, not repeating colors, coordinating shoes depending on luggage space, and not being in a panic about what I'm going to wear the week of the event. I started to put out some outfits, and then when the pandemic happened, I started to put them away. But then I decided that I didn't want to, that it would feel like I was giving up. So instead, I'm going to share them with you and talk about my process for planning outfits and highlight some of these wonderful events that happen once a year that had to cancel because of the pandemic. Please consider adding one or more of these events to your dance calendar next year. The first event I'm going to talk about that suffered a cancellation was Swing Into Spring, and it was on the cusp of where we were still trying to figure out everything. Do we go into isolation? What is even happening? This is all crazy. I had already packed for this gig an entire suitcase, and I know several musician colleagues who were within hours of boarding planes to come to Columbia, South Carolina, and it had to be canceled. And in hindsight, of course, we're very glad that it was canceled, but we're also very sad that this had to happen, essentially. Swing Into Spring is a long-running workshop weekend with dances that occurs in Columbia, South Carolina, sponsored by the Palmetto Swing Dance Association. I was to perform with an all-star band there. We would be performing the works of 3 band leaders, or rather the arrangements of 3 band leaders, Jonathan Stout, Michael Gamble, and Jonathan Doyle, along with esteemed sidemen Hal Smith on drums, Chris Tokarski on piano, and Gordon Owl on trumpet, along with yours truly on vocals. So, let's talk about what I would have worn. So, this set of outfits starts with a pair of shoes. And so let's take a look at these shoes. These were made by Miss Elfire, which is a UK-based shoe company. These are not necessarily dance shoes. I guess you could dance them. They don't have a leather sole, but they are gorgeous. This was my second pair of Miss Elfire shoes. My first pair was a sort of clamshell over the foot. I mean, they were gorgeous. I saw them and I just felt like, oh my God, like everything in my gut was like, I have to have these shoes. And then this was the second pair and I thought, what is this company doing? This is crazy that they are producing these gorgeous, gorgeous shoes. So my parents got them for me for Christmas one year, and I thought, well, what am I going to wear them with? I could wear them with a black dress, but I don't know. Is that really fun? 'Cause, like, let's do something special. I know that I mentioned in the previous episode that I work with two tailors. One of them is Laura Boys and the other is Kim Clark. Kim Clark I met through Etsy, and she lives in Bennington, Vermont, and she makes about a third of my performance clothing, which is all very exciting and wonderful, and I have so much fun collaborating with her on dress projects like this. So let's say I get a shoe and I say, hey Kim, I need something to go with this shoe. And, you know, in a practical sense, you should have more than one thing to go with your shoes and not just have this like singular outfit. So Kim and I put our heads together and came up with these two dresses to go with these lovely Miss Elfire shoes. I'm going to put my shoe back on right now and then walk over to this other dress on the dress form. And I'll say, I was told that I needed to name my dress form. Beth Grover, who's a swing dancer and instructor in California, told me this on Facebook. So I have named my dress form Alice LaRue after both of my grandmothers. So let's go check on Alice LaRue. So this dress, Kim made, she found the fabric, and it's a lovely sort of late 40s style dress. I'm not 100% sure on whether the fabric is a poly crepe or a rayon crepe, but it is a lovely crepe. And I have accessorized it with a patent leather belt, a creepy cat pin because I love cats, and some hair flowers by Jamie Sturdivant, who you may also know as Chatterblossom on Etsy. And as you can see, this mimics the color scheme with the sort of sage green and the white of the buttons. This print is just adorable. And the black sort of accents on the dress as well. Now let's talk about what I'm wearing. So this is another Kim dress, and we sort of put our heads together and said, I really like color black dresses. And I think the original of this dress was actually in brown tones. And I said, well, let's do the body of it black, and then we'll do the nice sage green on the top, and then it'll sort of mimic the Art Deco design of the shoe in its geometry. And then I've added this little dress clip, which I have put on here. You can see it's actually a safety pin that I have made it into a brooch with so that I can maximize my dress clips. And then it just looks like a lovely sort of Art Deco brooch. I will say that people call this my Star Trek dress, which I find hilarious. I mean, I get it. I see the sort of resemblance, but I would also challenge people who think that this is my Star Trek dress to think about which dress came first and who may have inspired certain designs. I mean, the Star Trek uniforms are pretty mod and cool, and sure, this is modern dressing, is it not? This very weekend, March 27th through 28th of 2020, would have been the Gatsby party at the Biltmore house, which isn't a dance event per se, but more like a fantasy. I don't know how organizer Jason Lotman convinced the Biltmore people to have a Gatsby party at the Biltmore house, but he did, and he hired Russ Wilson and his famous orchestra to perform for it. I may or may not have opened my big mouth on social media and drawn the organizer's attention to Russ's orchestra, which is part of how I got the gig, but Russ is the only band leader in North Carolina with a 1920s orchestra, so he's the ideal choice for this gig. If you're not familiar with the Biltmore house, it's located in Asheville, North Carolina, and was built by the Vanderbilt family, who were 19th century railroad tycoons. And it is the largest privately owned residence in the U.S. It is posh and lovely and worthy of Downton Abbey exhibits. So that should tell you the sort of scale of what we're dealing with here. It's definitely one of America's castles. So what do you wear to a 1920s gig at the Biltmore house? Oh my God, right? This is absolutely a dream gig for someone who kind of grew up. I think I visited the Biltmore house like 3 or 4 times as a child, and it was just enormously enormous and spectacular. And I went through a Victorian phase, let's say in middle school. I read a lot of 19th century literature, and so this was just sort of like this fantasy come to life. But this is a 20s party, so I pulled out my best and brightest 1920s, we'll say winter garb for this. So we'll start with the dress on the form behind me. So this dress was made by Laura Boyes, my local tailor, and we'll start at the top. This is a fluff that I would have put on my head somewhere that I got, I believe from Dora Mara on Etsy. And then the dress itself is another sort of marvel of construction. I purchased the fabric at a local store called Mulberry Silks. And you can see that there's this lovely geometric burnout velvet pattern. And looking at the details on the dress, you can see how Laura took bits of the dress and the fabric and sort of constructed this asymmetrical overall design, starting with the asymmetrical neckline, going down with this geometric shape here, all the way down to the belt being asymmetrical. And when I wear it, it sits on my hips a little bit better than it does on the dress form. And then also going down here, there's a gather here at the bottom and another bit of geometric, basically where it starts the gather and then comes down into an asymmetrical hem. So your entire sight line is sort of drawn to the right side of my body, and it's incredible. And then of course, Remix Balboa's the quintessential dance shoe of choice for dapper flappers everywhere. And so this would have been my Friday night outfit. And then my Saturday night outfit is what I am wearing right now, which is an actual 1920s burnout velvet dress. And I'm also wearing my Comfort Remix Janets for good measure, for good dancing. Although I can never sweat in this dress because it can never be dry cleaned. There is a medallion over here on my hip that has prongs on each of the jewels, and my dry cleaner told me that if they dry cleaned it, it would be a risk that all of the prongs would basically grab at the fabric and shred it. So I wear this dress in the winter. 2 things where I will never sweat. This was one of my first really nice pieces that I bought. I'll walk forward so you can see the fabric. I purchased it at a vintage store in Winston-Salem called Putting on the Ritz. And if it's not on your radar, it should be. I will say Putting on the Ritz is kind of it's a vintage store, but also a glitzy clothing store. So if you need to sparkle, it also has some designer items. It's just a really interesting mix of things. But this was definitely one of my first really nice, really dedicated, I am here for the vintage clothing. And also, I mean, for performing, obviously, since I can't sweat in it, I didn't buy it to dance in. It has a wonderful pattern that's kind of a little leopard print and a little bit of deco fans here and there. And I feel like it has just such a lovely sheen. And I love this dress so much, and I almost never get to wear it. So I was really happy to pull out one of the best pieces in my collection to wear to this Gatsby party. But it's not happening. But everyone here online can see it and how much I love it. Hi, I'm Laura Winley and I'm new at video production and I messed up on a clip. And so I'm gonna try this introduction over again. Up next, I'm gonna talk about School of Hard Knocks, which occurs in Knoxville, Tennessee and would have happened April 3rd through 5th of 2020. It's organized by Alisanne Talley, Kemper Talley, and Rebecca Combs. And this long-running workshop weekend is one of those events like Swing into Spring that is a landmark of the southeastern U.S. swing dance calendar. It draws from a broad radius due to its sort of centralized location in the southeast. I was going to be singing with Keenan McKenzie and the Riffers on Friday night, and Saturday night would have been the debut of the Keenan McKenzie Orchestra. Keenan is also the tenor player in the Mint Julep Jazz Band and often collaborates with me and my husband Lucian Cobb on musical endeavors. And so I'm really bummed that Keenan can't have his orchestral debut, but hopefully soon. So let's talk about what I would have worn to sing with Keenan's orchestra. I was told early on that when you sing with a big band, you wear a gown, and so I have put together this gown over here. Let's start at the top. I've got a wonderful, enormous lily from Chatter Blossom. I've got coordinating jewelry with a sort of seashell / fan theme with earrings, necklace, and a bracelet. And then the gown itself is from ModCloth. It is a poly crepe, chiffon-ish, whatever fabric, and I thought it would be good because one, it's my favorite color, Kelly Green, and two, it has the potential to travel well and steam, out all of the wrinkles, or maybe not even wrinkle that badly at all. And then of course I love the detail on the skirt. The shoes down here are the Remix Janet in gold. I would call these my lazy formal shoe because I find them to be the most comfortable and stable to stand in, and metallics are neutrals, so they kind of go with everything. So this is my workhorse shoe for singing, or at least wearing under gowns. The outfit that I am wearing was made by Kim Clark. It's a 1940s design dress. It's got a nice little sort of overlay here and a drape. And I'm wearing some Remix wedges, also for comfort today. It's got this sort of signature 1940s shoulder pads up here and a keyhole neckline. And I'll get a little bit closer so you can see the fabric here. It's a wonderful rose print with sort of teal and rosy pink red buds. The fabric I purchased locally from a craft store called Freeman's Creative, which is owned by Amelia Freeman Lind, who I actually met when she was working at Monuts Donuts when it was in downtown Durham. And she was always a bright spot in my weekday. I would go at least twice a week to get lunch at Monuts because you could get a bagel sandwich and a donut for like, I don't know, $5. It was like the cheapest lunch in town, in downtown Durham at least. Anyways, but she was always such a person with a sunny disposition and brightened my day on top of delivering to me incredible donuts. So I was delighted when I found out that she had opened a craft store, and it has wonderful fabrics. This fabric is rayon. It is super soft and it feels like pajamas, and I want to wear it all the time. Accessorizing this outfit, since I haven't actually worn this outfit outside of my house yet, I put some Chatter Blossom flowers. This is probably my new favorite goes with everything flower. It's sort of gradients of green and teal and blue, and it's one of those flowers where you're like, I don't know if this is going to go with anything, and then it ends up going with everything. And then we've got some Trashy Diva earrings and some colorful Bakelite, and we'll call it a day. The next event we're going to talk about is DCLX, the Washington, D.C. Lindy Exchange. This is one of the longest running Lindy Exchanges in the United States, and the first Lindy Exchange that I ever attended as a baby Lindy Hopper in maybe 2003 or 2004, I can't remember which. This year's theme was All the Cats Join In, and I was overjoyed because I love cats, and my sweet kitty Guinevere was featured in some of the advertising for this event. And I also have cat outfits. I know no one is surprised. I was going to sing with 3 different groups, Keenan McKenzie and the Riffers for the Friday late night, my own band, the Mint Julep Jazz Band, for Saturday late night, and with Michael Gamble and the Rhythm Serenaders Orchestra on Sunday night. DCLX was obviously canceled, and so I will say that my outfit planning was sort of mid-phase here, because I had, we'll say I had 2 complete cat outfits, and then I was sort of working on a third, because how many times do you need 3 cat outfits? So first, let's go talk about the outfit behind me. So this is a reproduction of a 1930s dress the fabric was sourced by Kim Clark, and it was also made by Kim Clark, and it features a rayon print of cats and fish with fish bowls, and the fish are kind of jumping out of the fish bowls. And then I also found this magnificent pin on Etsy that is a cat sort of with chains teetering over a goldfish in a goldfish bowl, which completes this incredible cat outfit. And then, of course, I've got some wonderful classic 2-tone perforated Oxfords here that I love to death, that I got from Raleigh Vintage like a million years ago at the Eastern Balboa Championships. And they are also great for dancing. They have this perfect leather sole, and I wish I could wear these all the time. So next, let's talk about the gown that I'm wearing. This gown was made by my local tailor, Laura Boys, who is a film curator and knows a lot about clothing design and film history and the intersection of those 2 topics. And one of the great Hollywood designers, Gilbert Adrian, otherwise known just to everyone as Adrian, put together wonderful sort of animal-inspired outfits. So this gown is inspired by, of course, I looked for the date before I got on here, and then, of course, I couldn't find the gown on the internet anywhere. I'm assuming late 30s or early 40s, Gilbert Adrian gown. I think before the Met closed, you could actually see one of the originals at the Met. The original one was black and featured cats coming, again, like mine, over the shoulder and then sort of around the bottom of the skirt here. This is made of silk with the crepe side out, and has a wonderful little belt here and a peplum. And like the Gilbert Adrian original, the cats also have these sort of blue plaid, although in the original I think they were more gingham bows, because Adrian did the costume design for The Wizard of Oz, so that might have been a little nod by Adrian to his design work there. But I gotta say, this gown is adorable. I am so delighted to have this reproduction. How Laura put this together is a little uncanny, in that the hard part was how to figure out how the cats actually go on the dress, because I believe in the original, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, in the original gown, I think that the cats were actually printed on the fabric, and it was based on Adrian's actual designs, like drawings of the cats, and then printed on the fabric, and then the gown was made. So that's a little hard to do, to necessarily get custom fabric printed in this very specific cats leaping around over your shoulders and on the bottom of things. So Laura had the idea that she would draw the cats herself, scan them into a digital format, and then have Spoonflower print them. So Spoonflower is a fabric company that does a lot of things, but one of the things you can do is you can upload your fabric designs to Spoonflower, and sell them. And this is also a Durham, North Carolina based company. And so in some ways, this cat gown is a fully Durham endeavor, although I will say that the purple silk came from Mood in New York. Thanks, Mood. So it's kind of ingenious. So once Laura drew the cats, scanned them, had the design uploaded to Spoonflower, and then Spoonflower printed the cats on the fabric, she then appliqued the cats onto the dress. So like cut them out, you know, did something with the ends, and then sewed it onto the fabric. And so that is how this dress is constructed. It's amazing. Excuse me, I mentioned that there was another cat dress in the works, and I'm a huge fan of sequinappliques.com. The sequin appliques are so cheap. They're like $2 or $3 or $4 a piece, and you can just sew them onto, or even tack them or pin them onto a very plain dress, and it is like an instant elevated, you know, 1940s or 30s dress treatment. So I'm gonna grab the cat appliques that I had picked out for this. So I had a few options here. One was this enormous cat with tulips. And I don't know. I don't know yet. We didn't figure that out. Then there was this lovely little cat. I thought, well, maybe this could go on a shoulder again or somewhere. But hi, this is a cute little guy. This could go somewhere. And then last, this didn't look scary online, but it looks a little scary. I don't know, guys. Is this a sad sequin cat? I mean, it's kind of cute. I don't know, I'll let y'all decide. Finally, we come to Bow Week, which would have happened April 30th through May 5th of 2020. I've had the honor of performing at Bow Week in New York for the past few years with Michael Gamble and the Rhythm Serenaders, as well as with Glenn Kreitzer one year. And it is always such a special event for a number of reasons. I mean, it's New York. It's amazing. It's the epicenter of jazz, swing era jazz, Lindy Hop. It's a special place, and it's important to our history. And it's an entire week of dancing in this great city. And you can see the sights during the day and dance every night. And it's just really an incredible concept. Also, my best friend from high school lives in New York, and I get to stay with her for a long weekend. I love exploring New York during the day, museums and food and sightseeing, and I also love buying fabric in the garment district, particularly at Mood, and I just feel like I am living my Project Runway dreams, particularly when you see Swatch. Like Swatch, the dog, is actually in the shop. It's a thing. So Bow Week is organized by Mickey Fortunace, Chad Mills, in the past, Lainey Silver, and I'm sure there are some other wonderful New York dancers that also contribute to this event because it's big, it's a lot, and it's a lot of logistics to plan something in New York. I know New York is being hit extra hard right now, and my heart goes out to you and is fearful for you. I have hope for your great city and for all of us during this incredibly scary and unprecedented, at least in my lifetime, world tragedy. So love to you, New York, and everyone else who is struggling right now. I know you see that I'm sparkling, and I will say I hadn't picked out all of my Bow Week outfits, but I have been compiling this outfit for some time. After Lindy Focus this year, I went on Etsy and was like, I wonder if rainbow sequin 1930s is even a thing. Like, is it a thing? Can there be things made like this? And the answer is yes. And I'm wearing it on my head. This 1930s rainbow sequin skull cap was the jumping off point for this outfit. Oh my God. Like, this is so fun. This is fun. So I thought, okay, well, I have to have this, but wait, it gets better because there's a matching purse. And I don't use purses on stage, but I will be using this purse on stage with this hat. So I can hang it from my mic stand like a boss, and I'm just gonna keep sparkling. Rainbow 1930s sequins. So as if this wasn't enough to like squeal and die and have all the feelings at the same time. All right, so then where do we go from here? Let's like build an outfit around this. And I'm sort of going to go out of order because of the way that I am wearing things and can reveal things on camera is difficult. So I'll start next with the piece that I acquired last to go with this outfit, which is the jewelry. I have a wonderful brooch here and little earrings. Hello. That are 1930s, pot metal with sort of rainbow rhinestones and things from a wonderful vintage jewelry shop in Hillsborough, North Carolina, called Carlisle and Lindy. And the owner's name is Lindsay Bowen. And I messaged her on Instagram and said, hey, I'm not finding anything that looks like what I like that would go with this hat. And she's like, oh my God, this hat. And then sent me, some photographs of things that she had in the shop. And of course it was perfect. It has little leaves. And because I am co-band leader of the Mint Julep Jazz Band, I also collect vintage jewelry that features leaves because mint is leafy. So, so this lovely jewelry was actually the last part of this outfit to come together. The second part of the outfit to come together, and this involves a shoe, and specifically here I'm taking off my shoe again, a Miss Elfire shoe. And someone posted this on Facebook, and I thought, does that go with my hat? Yeah, it definitely goes with my hat. This is insane, right? That someone, a modern shoemaker would make this, particular selection of colors that intensely goes with this hat. I mean, this is incredible, right? So I was elated to find this pair of shoes. So I'm going to put my shoe back on. There's a buckle involved, so you're going to lose me for a second here. So I can do a little catwalk for you to show you the dress. Now, right now, my favorite vintage reproduction retailer is the House of Foxy. It's a UK-based company, and I don't know if they have a lifeline, like a communication link into my brain that anticipates what I need and what I want, but that seems like what is happening right now. And I had seen this particular dress. I try not to wear too much black on stage because I hear that it ages you. I am also very white, and that contrast is not necessarily a good thing to have, like this blinding white skin and this very black, like dark fabric. But I'll make an exception because there's enough color here to like make up for everything. So the House of Foxy had made this gorgeous, here I'll take a little walk, 1930s style dress out of a satin that is a viscose and rayon mix. And I was skeptical at first because I thought, I'm going to order this dress and it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to show all my bumps and it's going to be terrible. But when I got it, it was the weight of 1930s silk. And if you've never felt 1930s silk, it has this incredible weight to it and drape to it that modern fabrics just don't have. And finding fabrics that have this drape is next to impossible. Just the thickness of it and the weight. And again, the drape, when I say the drape, it just sort of falls over you and does not necessarily show the bumps. I have no shapewear on right now. This is happening. So they've made this incredible reproduction 1930s dress. I'm feeling very Jean Harlow at the moment with these wonderful sleeves. It's bias cut. It has like a little matching belt with sort of Bakelite looking belt buckle. And of course, the shoes are amazing. So I'm really excited about this outfit and how it all came together and living my best Jean Harlow dreams and sassy 1930s chorus girl life in this sequin hat. And this is the outfit that I put together for Bow Week. Thanks so much for tuning in to Lindy Shopper's Closet. If you'd like more information on the Lindy Shopper blog, you can visit lindyshopper.com. If you'd like more information about my singing endeavors, you can visit laurawinley.com. I'm going to post a bunch of links in the notes below so that you can have the information for the events I talked about, any places I might have mentioned, or anything else that has a link, particularly the Frankie Manning Foundation's Relief Fund. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe and stay healthy.